December 7th, 2025, Bellevue, Washington. 126 of the world's best Magic players had gathered. They had already navigated 2 days of draft and standard. They had survived the Swiss rounds, and when the dust had settled on day 2, the top 8 told a story that was both shocking and inevitable. 7 players, 7 variations of the same engine, and 1 player who had decided everyone else was wrong. By the end of the day on Sunday, December 7th, one Hall of Famer would claim his 2nd World Championship title. But we're getting ahead of ourselves now. Let's break down how he got there and the decks that shaped the meta of the Magic the Gathering World Championship 31. Stormchaser's talent, an enchantment from Bloomborough that changed everything. Level 1. When it enters, create a 1/1 blue and red otter token with prowess. Level 2. When this class becomes level 2, return target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. And level 3. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, create a 1/1 blue and red otter token with prowess. Simple, elegant, and catastrophically powerful. The engine creates an army of prowess creatures. At level 3, every instant or sorcery spell you cast makes another otter, and prowess means every spell makes all your otters bigger. You're not just casting spells, you're building a board and growing threats simultaneously. The perfect partner was Boomerang Basics, a 1-mana sorcery from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Return any permanent to its owner's hand. The synergy: cast Stormchaser's talent, get an otter token, go to level 2 or 3 depending on the mana you had left, then bounce it with Boomerang Basics and play it again, another otter token. You're building an army while your spells make them all bigger. Boomerang also bounces opponents' threats if you need the tempo and for defenders to be out of the way. And because it's a non-creature spell, it triggers prowess on every otter and at level 3 creates another token. The metagame before Worlds 31 had been dominated by red aggro. Screaming Nemesis and Prophet's Edict Memory had just been banned, and into that void came this blue-red engine that could build a board, generate card advantage, and create an overwhelming army. When 7 of the top 8 decks share the same 2-card engine, you're not looking at a metagame, you're looking at a solved format. 4 players brought Izzet Lessons, the breakout deck of the tournament. Sam Party, Seth Manfield, Derek Davis, and Akira Shibati. Sam Party was the first to clinch top 8 in round 11 of the tournament. This marks his 7th career top finish. He won the Strixhaven Championship in 2021 and made top 8 of that year's World Championship. He qualified for Worlds by making day 2 of every Pro Tour he played in 2025. Seth Manfield is a Hall of Famer with one of the most storied resumes in Magic. 2015 World Champion, Pro Tour Ixalan winner, 2020 Mythic Invitational winner, Pro Tour Murders at Karlov Manor winner, and he made top 8 of last year's Worlds. He rattled off wins after an 0-2 start to clinch top 8 early on in the tournament. Derek Davis went undefeated on day 1. He qualified following his top 32 at Pro Tour Edge of Eternities. Akira Shibata jumped from an 8-0 start at the Japan and Korea Regional Championship into a finals finish, then went 10-6 in Atlanta at Pro Tour Edge of Eternities. Izzet Lessons built around the Stormchaser's talent engine with a specific package of lesson cards. Accumulate Wisdom looks at the top 3 cards of your library. You normally would put one into your hand, but if there are 3 or more lesson cards already in your graveyard, you put all 3 into your hand instead. The deck also ran Firebending Lesson, Combustion Technique, and Abandoned Attachments, with these lessons being the ones that filled the graveyard, enabling the talent triggers. The deck's velocity came from casting lessons to fill your graveyard, then using Accumulate Wisdom to draw 3 cards for 2 mana at instant speed once you had 3 lessons in the yard. Monument to Endurance and Artist's Talent provided additional card selection and cost reduction. The deck buried opponents in resources while otter tokens with prowess closed out the game. The top 8 also saw 2 players bring in Temur Otters, Sean Henry and Arn Huschenbeth. Sean had 2 regional championship top finishes in Australia and one at a Magic Online Champion Series event over the last 2 years. His goal this season was to win a Pro Tour or the World Championship. Arn is a 4-time top finisher and Kaldheim Championship winner. After narrowly missing top 8 at Pro Tour Aetherdrift on tiebreakers, he bounced back this tournament. His testing with Team Handshake Moxfield brought him to the Temur Otter deck that he was using at the World Championship. Temur Otters added green to the Stormchaser's talent engine for a mana combo. Badger Mole Cub says whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green mana. Valley Floodcaller lets you cast non-creature spells as though they had flash, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, birds, frogs, otters, and rats you control get +1/+1 until end of turn and allowing you to untap them. Here's the combo. You have creatures that tap for mana. Badger Mole Cub doubles that mana. You cast spells. Valley Floodcaller untaps your creatures. They tap for mana again, doubled again by Badger Mole Cub. You generate more mana than you spend. The deck uses Song of Totentaz to create rat tokens, Enduring Vitality to let all creatures tap for mana, and stock up to find pieces. The deck could establish its engine early and generate overwhelming resources with the amount of mana you would be creating. Jean-Emmanuel Depraz brought Izzet Looting, the tempo variant. 4 years ago, Depraz lost in the World Championship Finals. 2 years later, he won Magic World Championship 29. Now he's back in the top 8 for a third time. His testing with Team Cosmos Heavy Play brought him to this list. Izzet Looting built around efficient creatures and interaction. The deck ran Duelist of the Mind, Fear of Missing Out, and Quantum Riddlers as threats. With Stormchaser's talent creating otters and triggering prowess on every spell, the deck applied pressure very quickly. The strategy was tempo. Deploy threats, protect them with removal and counter magic, and kill opponents before they could stabilize. Torch the Tower, End the Floodmaw, and Winter Night Stories provided interaction and reach that the deck was looking for. But there was one rebel, one individual who did not bring a talent deck into the top 8. That individual was Ken Yukihiro, who brought a Sultai Reanimator deck. Again, the only non-talent deck in the top 8. Yukihiro is a 2025 Player of the Year. He won Pro Tour Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy, and this is his 9th career top finish. He's one of 2 Japanese competitors in the top 8 trying to bring the World Championship title back to Japan for the first time since Yuta Takahashi won in 2021. Yukihiro started 1-2. Then he won 9 out of the next 10 rounds of play. Here's the strategy of Sultai Reanimator. You mill yourself with Brood Spinner and Oblivious Bookworm, fill your graveyard with powerful creatures, then reanimate them. Awaken the Honored Dead allows you to continue milling your deck, filling your graveyard with more creatures. It's also a key piece to the puzzle, allowing you to bring a creature back from the graveyard at level 3. That was the early plan that this deck was trying to accomplish. Bringer of the Last Gift is the Haymaker, an 8 mana with flying. When you cast it, each player sacrifices all other creatures they control, and then each player returns all creature cards from their graveyard that weren't put this way. Let's say you have 10 creatures milled into your graveyard, and your opponent only has 2 creatures in theirs. You clear the board with the Bringer of the Last Gift, none of those creatures come back, but all the creatures you've milled previously, they hit the board, and your opponent, well, they get their 2 creatures back, but it's nothing to the 10 that you milled from earlier. Superior Spider-Man's the icing on the cake. He enters as a copy of any creature card from any graveyard. You exile that card. You can copy your own best creature or steal your opponent's biggest threat in their graveyard. The targets: Overlord of the Belmurk, Arden the Usurper, and Terror of the Peaks to finish things off by dealing damage based on the creatures returning from being reanimated. The positioning: talent decks ran maybe 8 to 12 creatures. Most of their deck was spells. When Yukihiro resolved to Bringer of the Last Gift and reanimated his entire graveyard, those talent decks couldn't keep up. They didn't have enough creatures to block, and they didn't have enough removal for 5 or 6 large threats hitting the board. While everyone else focused on the talent mirror, Yukihiro prepared to go over the top with his Reanimator deck. World Championship 31's top 8 was a thesis statement about Standard. Stormchaser's talent and Boomerang Basics had defined the format, it had defined the meta. 7 of the 8 best players ran variations of the same engine. 4 players chose Izzet Lessons, Sam, Seth, Derek, and Akira, betting that card advantage would win the tournament. 2 players chose the Otters, Sean and Arn, betting that the mana engine would overwhelm everything else. And then 1 player chose Izzet Looting, Jean, betting that tempo would race the field. And then there was the rebel, Ken, the Player of the Year, who chose Sultai Reanimator and bet he could go over the top with the milling strategy and filling the board from his graveyard. When 7 of the 8 decks share a 2-card engine, you're witnessing either perfect metagame evolution or a format that needs answers. Let me know in the comments down below. Do any of these new cards need to be banned? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. In the end, the mirror proved decisive. Seth Manfield navigated the top 8 bracket with precision. Quarterfinals, semifinals, and then finals. The Hall of Famer who'd started 0-2 showed why he's one of the greatest to ever play the game in the entire world. His Izzet Lessons deck buried opponents in card advantage, while Otter tokens closed out the game. On Sunday, December 7th, 2025, Seth Manfield became a 2-time world champion, 10 years after his first title in 2015, $100,000 richer, and with the right to design a Magic card. Let me know in the comments, if you ever got to design a Magic card, what would it be? From Stormchaser's talent to a second World Championship trophy, Magic World Championship 31 belonged to Seth Manfield. 8 players, 7 believers, 1 rebel, and in the end, the believer who optimized the best took it all home. We'll dive in again soon.